Ego lifting is the highest expression of stretch-mediated hypertrophy in existence. And when you think about it, it makes a whole lot of sense. Let's consider two worldviews. The first is the science-based worldview, and on the other side, we have the hoist, heft, and heave ego lifting side of the argument. So with the science-based approach, what do we typically think of? We think of slow eccentrics controlling on the way down, pausing for a 1, 2, 3 count, and then coming back up. What does this approach usually entail? It entails using a lighter weight, which might sound like a good thing because better stimulus to fatigue ratio. But if we're considering the subject at hand being stretch mediation for hypertrophy, it may not be the best choice, because on the other side of the spectrum of the argument, we have loading up a 400-pound bar for some barbell rows. And when you control that sucker as it goes down and you're fighting against gravity as you're stretching out your arms and your lats are pulling out of your sockets, that is what is going to give you a ginormous stimulus for the exact reason that we have found so much benefit in the research when it stretches you out. If you fight that with a substantial weight, you're going to get a lot of progress in your back development. And you can extend that logic to a lot of other movements. And we see a very similar trend, not just in the research, but in practical experience as well. Now, I'm not saying that there's zero place for slow eccentrics and all of that. There are certain exercises that it might work better. And to be honest, a lot of this has to be personalized. Maybe you hoist, heft, and heave an ego lift for a while, and you find some value with the slower, controlled technique, getting the eccentric, milking it out, all that stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. But just practically speaking, if we're going to narrow in on this one subject of lengthened partials or getting the stretch at the bottom of a movement, if we're considering mechanical tension, getting the most effort and the most grit out of a movement, it's usually the heavy weight that's going to get people to do that. And my experience as a coach is that people enjoy training that way more. This isn't the only way you have to do things, but I find that it is the most simple, bare bones, viable way to transmit that message to the largest amount of people.